reason. Yeah.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the stream. We have, obviously, you can see the people. We have Halina, Devin, and Anna. Corey is having some technical difficulties courtesy of Russia. So, yeah, he will make it if he can. And if he can't, then we will blame him forever. And
Agreed.
yeah.
I'll dock his pay. That's just
Sad,
simple.
sad news for Corey. He's not be getting away with it.
No.
Yeah, so your documentary actually just dropped like a while ago. And Halina and I watched it last night because, chat, if you don't know, they have a Patreon and you can subscribe for early access. So that's what we did. And then we did the illegal thing and I streamed it for Halina on Discord so that we don't have to pay twice, you know?
Well, that's cool. Yeah.
We support the illegal actions.
We do. Yeah. I'm totally fine with that. So
Да, we did экономить чуть-чуть. Did экономить.
Yeah, we watched it on a budget.
Totally cool with that.
So, yeah, it was interesting for us to watch it. But first, let's backtrack a bit. You guys came out with a pretty bold but very fair statement with like, the media has failed Ukraine. And I'm like, I agree. But just for the sake of content, guys, please tell us why.
I want Devin too, because that's literally him. That's what he said. He came up with that, so he should answer. Yeah.
And you agreed. Yeah.
I agreed. Yes, but
yeah,
you came up with
look,
it.
it's something I've noticed throughout this entire year. 2023, 2024, when I was here, I was going a lot back and forth between the US and Ukraine. I would come out here, I would do a huge amount of reporting, I'd go back to the US, make a bunch of money, come back here and spend it all. This gave me kind of a unique perspective of knowing what people back in the US, largely the West, at least English-speaking sphere, thinks about what's going on here, what their perception is, what information space they're getting. And I knew from that point that it was very lacking. So I tried to do the best I could. I mean, I had somebody once tell me that they were sad Prigozhin was dead because they thought he was the hero who was going to like, liberate Russia and stop the war in Ukraine. And I went, oh God, no, we're screwed. Like, that's bad. But people still, even to this day, they don't know what a shahed is. I can tell people, oh, the city's under a shahed attack. And they go, God, that's horrible. What's a shahed? I have people who say that they very much watch what's going on here. I'll mention, Human Safari and Hirsan, and they go, the what? In the West, there's not a great media sphere. Then when we came out here, when I moved full-time to Ukraine, early 2025, I started working with a bunch of different people. I kind of put some of my own independent reporting to the side and focused on helping people with larger channels, larger reach. Hey, if my work kind of suffered, at least we're doing good work and getting things out there. I worked with a large amount of people. And every single time I would get done with a project, I'd get done helping them with something, and I would look back and I would go, oh God, we missed so much. There would be people with interesting stories, and I would be like, hey, we should talk with this guy. Like, we should look at this. Like, his story is incredible. And, people would turn to me and they go, I really don't feel like doing another interview right now.
Yeah.
And just left that story alone. But we did come out with a very bold claim. It's something I stand by from my experience here, from my experience talking with people back in the West. Not a lot of people agree with it. The only people who disagree with it largely are foreign journalists who have been out here a long time. And they always give me the same line. They say, Devin, we've done it all. What stories are left telling? And then they give me a list, I've done artillery, I've done trenches, I've done mortars, I've done this. And I'm like, well, what about, there's
the people.
Larger list. The people, exactly. They never mention that. They never mention that. They never talk about that. They never, in their reports, they don't even show it half the time. And that's the key part that I think is missing and has failed people is the true way to connect. That is the true way for people to engage in a story. And it's just been kind of lazily left behind, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
the only
think-
thing I
sorry, go ahead.
The only thing I would add to this, I mean, I agree with what Devin said, obviously, but one of the things that I will say is that as far as like reporting goes, it doesn't take like a genius to figure out that it's not reaching people, because first of all, how successful Russian propaganda is as a proof in the West, right? And also how little people know, because you bring up the things that are actually important to talk about, which would be, for example, mass graves in Izium, right? Most people don't know about that at all. And me and Devin actually went there at some point, you know. And the people, Kherson Safari, you know, what that Devin mentioned, killing people, hunting people, essentially civilians with drones, right?
Yeah.
It's the most documented like targeting of civilians. There are hours of footage that Russians themselves produce. They literally produce their own war crime footage. And if you like bring it up to people who even follow Ukraine, so not the people who like don't care at all, but the people who follow, right? They don't know. They have no idea what that is. And I brought it up with a bunch of like American, British even friends who have like bigger platforms, who are like YouTubers, and they have no idea about it. So that's, you know, all the proof you technically need. And then the worst thing is then you go to people's like, you know, like I do, to people's like channels, podcasts and stuff like that, and they're shocked and they look at you like, you know, surprised when you bring those like atrocities because they don't know about them. And you can't even be mad at them because it's technically the media's job, right, to keep them informed. And you can't expect a regular person in the United States, for example, to go research themselves for like, I don't know, try to find an article for like 12 minutes on the internet trying to find what is happening, right? It should be like available and easy to see, easy to find, and it's not. And one of the things that got me like so excited about the idea of making the documentary that you watched in particular, right, was the fact that it was so concentrated on the SNS and on, you know, on rescue services in Ukraine, on first responders, on firemen, on like people who do the actual like who actually deal with the strikes and the consequences of the strikes on civilians that are daily, pretty much, right, in Ukraine, and multiple times per day sometimes, yeah. And I remember when I was like in Kharkiv I always was there, but you know, at a particular point in time when I was in Kharkiv, and there was like Cubs, regular Cubs attacks, so like aviation bomb strikes, and like a particular area where I live, right, it was like about 7-8 strikes per day, just around like my particular area where I live. So like 10 minutes walk, 5 minutes walk, right? And I was thinking at the time, like, it's nobody says anything at all, right? And it's just so like, you feel like a crazy person then, because you bring up to the Western people the facts that they never heard of, right? And they look at you like you're not trustworthy, like you're exaggerating things, basically, right? And I'm like, not. And then I remember first time I experienced that was about the Zoom, actually, when I saw Les Graves there, and like people being it's without Devin, I went like earlier before him, and they were like exhumating people, and they pulled the man from the grave that had genitals cut off. So they were, you know, the person was tortured before they were tossed there. And I remember I like saw that, and I talked about it, and everyone was like looking at me like I'm like making things up. And it's like so difficult to communicate with a lot of like Western people because of just how little they know. And to blame them, you can get angry at them, I guess, but mostly you should be angry, I think, in my opinion, about the media that doesn't really cover any of this thing.
Yeah.
That's what people tell me. That's when I was the people who had messaged me when I started speaking, like, hey, like, media's failed here. That's kind of exactly what you said. Is they said that's the key. People should spend, you know, 20, 30 minutes looking for a particular article on something they don't even know exists. You know, it's up. If you know, I had one journalist tell me that like if these people only read these 3 papers, then they would know everything. And it's like, what do you expect?
Like seriously, like in the era of so much information, so many like catastrophic, like horrible events happening like all over the place, not just here, right? A lot of things that are so much information is like poured at people, and the quality of that information is very low, as we can see, for example, on Twitter after Elon Musk did his thing. So you're making it into basically a Russian bot network, right?
Yeah.
It's difficult to expect people to filter so much information. And honestly, let's be like honest with ourselves. Like if it wasn't about like Ukraine or some other place, let's say, I don't know, not that I don't care, obviously I care about other countries as well, but would I actually spend like 12 minutes looking up some like article about, I don't know, something happening in Sudan? Probably not because I don't care, but because like there's so much things to care about. There's so many things that are happening, right? So we also need to look at it that way about the Western people, that for them we are, Sudan. Not to be like mean or anything. I know, but it's the same thing. Like, and many people just got. Also, it's been years now. We should remember that as well. Like, people were more eager to find information at the beginning now, but the attention span of people is short. It moves to other things, and a lot of things happen since then as well. So I'm saying, like, as a Ukrainian, we obviously want everyone to care and to spend their time, but at the same time we need to understand that it's the media's job to be available, accessible to people, and they should see those things. Like I saw a friend of mine actually watch the our little promotion of the film video, and he is he's in Scotland. He's a YouTuber called Lonerbox, and he is a very attentive person. He pays attention to what's happening to Ukraine, so he's not like he doesn't care. But he saw a little footage, just a bit of a footage of like strikes on like residential buildings that is in the film, strikes of like major missile hits in like markets and like squares and just regular stuff, and he was like, and he didn't see that, So
but I think part of the thing is, and it's interesting, because, and I actually made a note of it in the documentary. It's you guys are in Kharkiv on March 30th, and it's when the coffee shop, they made it out just in time, right? And you were there to discuss how civilians feel about the possible ceasefire, the potential ceasefire. And I feel like that has been overwhelmed. The news has been focused on that. They've been focused on every single peace talk, every single, like, today, Putin wore a blue tie, and tomorrow this is going to happen. And this is front page. And then it all becomes, it kind of like removes the fact that there are actually people experiencing this and going through this, and all of a sudden you're just dealing with two strong men or a few strong people who are like just having some, battling it out with each other. And I think that is something where, a lot of people also, focus on it, and especially like on YouTube, people focus on the geopolitical side of things. And then you sit there and you're like, yeah, I hear you, and it's important to know that, but these are the strikes that's happening. Like, our organization, we help the soldiers, right? We know, like, a lot of times we know the losses, okay? So then it's weird when you know this and you have experience with this, you have these connections with people, and then at the same time you watch people meme about another ceasefire, or Russians are using donkeys. Let's meme about that. And you're like,
now it's horses, I think.
Now
everyone talks about horses now.
Horses.
Yeah.
Horses with Starlinks on them.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Oh, yeah, that's the latest thing that happened. Yeah. And cameras.
They fitted it. Okay. Yeah. And I'm like, what is this? But I mean, at the same time, as absurd as it is, the fact that they have had to resort to that is because of the guys holding the line. But that's not getting news. What's getting news is, hey, these people are having another meeting. And then in 2 months, they're going to have another meeting, and nothing's going to be discussed or decided.
I think Yana is pointing out like a really great actually thing that kind of like it's kind of like is the crux of the issue. Really, there's a huge disconnect between what we think is important to show as Ukrainian people, right? As a Ukrainian nation, right?
Mhm.
And what is shown in the Western media. And I think many journalists who aren't Devin, for example, they are very much concentrated on showing things that understandably gets more clicks, for example, gets more maybe views, is more on the hot topic somewhere, at the top of the hyped some viral sort of thing, right? And I mean, I understand that, you obviously want the things that you produce to get views, to get eyes on them. That's pretty understandable. But what happens is that things that we actually care about and things that are important and things that are actually highlighting what is happening in a big way, right? And to paint the picture as it is, and the scale of things is absolutely not understood by people. I speak with a lot of foreigners, right? And most of them just have no idea about the scale. So they don't know for example, not to throw shade at anyone, but there are a lot of media things that are Gaza and Kiev comparison, right? And look, Gaza is completely destroyed, and Kiev is hot and dandy, and everything is cool, right? And then you be like, well, maybe you should show Kramatorsk. Maybe you should show Bakhmut. Maybe you should show Avdiivka. Maybe you should show Toretsk.
Here's
Maybe you should show
Konstantinivka,
blah
here's
blah 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 blah. You can
Grushivka,
you can name I don't know but at this point hundreds, right, of villages, little towns, and all of it is 20 something percent of the country is in ruinage, absolute ruinage, and that is a size of an actual country in Europe, right? If you put a country in that 20% there, and people don't know the scale of it, because they just simply see they are shown the destruction in Gaza, right? And they are not shown the destruction that is happening here. Instead, we see, I don't know, blue ties of Putin, donkeys, and we see meetings of Trump, and I don't know, who said what, and people discussing another stupid thing the current American administration said, and all of that is just it's the news, it's hype, it's viral, but does it represent what is actually happening? No. And that's kind of my biggest, I guess, problem.
Guys, I have a question.
Yeah,
In this
and I think-
case, Janочка,
Yes.
minute. How do you see what is more acceptable? Ukrainian media producing films, documentary, articles, or Westerns for Westerns? So what is more has feedback? When it's Ukrainian media shows to Westerns, or when it's Westerns media show to Westerns what's going on?
Devin can answer, and then I can add if
The sad truth is that one of the psychologically what people do is that they very much connect themselves to whoever is in a situation. And when it's a Ukrainian there speaking up and saying, hey, look at this, hey, let me show you this, hey, this, people will pay far less attention to that than if, my silly ass is somewhere and goes, hey, look at this thing. It's just the fact that there's a different level of connection when it's somebody from your country speaking to them, or even someone who is a native speaker of a language speaking to somebody. There are, of course, very big differences. There are a couple of outliers in this case. Some people are very good at connecting across borders or across languages. But generally, there is a trend that if there is a Westerner out here speaking about something, it unfortunately gets, a lot more views or a lot more people talking about it, or just more traction. I don't like it, but unfortunately that tends to be the trend.
I would agree, agree, and would add that on one end, Devin is pointing out the thing that people just connect more with people they relate to more. So that's nothing strange about it. So we don't need to be salty about it, because most people we relate to our own people more than we relate to other people. That's that's fine. But also there is, unfortunately, again, there's language barrier. A lot of people just not to point fingers, but many people in the West are just so unused to reading subtitles. Like they consume media that is in their own language. Americans in particular, like they have so much media of their own that they are completely unused to. Like we are kind of used to here, like with watching subtitles of like European stuff, Asian stuff, a lot of things. And like many people in the United States, for example, they just don't do that, and they just are super not used to engaging with the content of people. Translation is a big issue. For example, I do translation, so I am very annoyed when I see very bad translation that Ukrainians do. For example, there was like this one interview that I think Zelensky did, and the translation in English was
Oh, it's the Lex
atrocious.
one.
Yeah, and it was done by United 24, so it was done by some serious, like media. That wasn't just some random person doing that. And I'm like, God damn it, we like are representing our chance to actually speak, and the translation is shit. Yeah, and it's that annoys me. So there's a lot of that issue, but ultimately just people connect better like with the people who are their own, and they also speak to. And also sometimes we just what we say is lost in translation, not literally because the translation is shit, although that also happens, but because of the you not everyone can speak the way that culturally is understandable. So what I mean is sometimes Ukrainians say things that makes total sense to me, obviously, but they don't really translate that well to the Western audience. And that's something that was asked of me, for example. People asked, like, how do you do like that? How do you, because I seem to be able to, to connect with people pretty well and to like explain what has happened pretty well. And two things. One, I simply know the language pretty well, which many people, don't get that luxury to be able to communicate in English as well as they communicate in Ukrainian, Russian, whatever, right? And that's one thing. And second thing is I try to speak to them, to the Western audiences in a way that they understand, because I kind of understand them. So I consume a lot of their media. I know what they talk about. I know all the, hype things to say. I know I'm learning jokes. I'm all of that. Like, I know it sounds like a lot of investment, but it pays off, because you then is viewed by people like one of their own. Basically, you are viewed as someone who they can relate to. And I know it's annoying and it's a lot of work, and people should be able to be empathetic, just experience like empathy, sympathy, and relate to people who are not like them. But unfortunately, we live in in a society. we live in a human civilization when people are much easier to relate to things that they find like more common, something they could have seen. And I even saw like comments like that, and they used to annoy me actually when I was in 22. Anna from the past was annoyed when she saw that. When people were like, "Oh, she seems like a regular like girl, like I can meet like at a barista shop," and I'm like, duh. like, what do you think I am, an alien? That was like annoying. But then I realized that people are actually surprised by that, so it must mean something. It must mean that people finding it like not easy to like understand. And that's we should also think about it sometimes, I think, not to like blame everyone all the time, because sometimes like we are so used to being bombed and then going to work, like going to a coffee shop, like doing our stuff, here, like you get like, 7 in the morning, big bombing, I have work to do, annoyed, and it's so like routine to us. But to normal person, but to normal people who live like in the West, it's incomprehensible. How can that be even? They would have one little fucking strike. Oh, sorry, I don't know if I am allowed to.
You can swear. Don't worry.
They would have one strike, and they would be like absolute panic mood. Like they wouldn't. It's difficult to relate to us genuinely, because someone like Devin can, but simply because he lives here quite literally. He experiences those strikes, and we like spend many time in my corridor drinking and listening to music while bombs were falling. And, so we need people like that, is what I mean. We need people who are they're in both worlds, as I say. They're like one foot here, one foot in the West, so they can communicate with the Western people, but they also understand what we are dealing with here. So
yeah.
So if Ukrainian media could do job about mistakes, how to say it correctly, Робота над помилками.
Oh, what can Ukrainian media to do, like to do better, essentially, to correct their
Yeah.
mistakes? Yeah.
To do some conclusions from last 4 years. What would be workable?
Well, there's a lot to say about this. Like I can say like three things. Devin probably can add as well because he worked with like Yura Maidan Media, and he can spoke a little bit about that. But I would say like there are three major issues with like Ukrainian media sphere. One is that that's actually, by the way, our issue. We Ukrainians, just regular people, don't really support our own media that much. So we don't like watch it. We don't click on it. We don't read it that much. We don't share it that much. So it's like with the books and like with the books, Ukrainian books in Ukrainian language. Many people like say, why there's so little like Ukrainian? I have to buy Russian because there's no Ukrainian. And you're like, well, that's because buy it, like support it. If you don't buy it and you don't support it, that's not gonna be a thing. People don't do it for free. It costs money, right? Same with the media, right? They don't not gonna do things that if you don't support those things. That's one thing. Second thing is that Ukrainian media is kind of like new. Like it's genuinely like quite fresh, especially the media that is dedicated towards Westerners. So we have decent media that is reporting news, for example, for Ukrainians in Ukrainian, right? But very few that are directed towards the Western audience. And certainly they don't do what I just said, trying to be like relatable, trying to be understandable to Western media. They basically do like a translation. So they like write an article in Ukrainian for Ukrainians and then translate it to English. Like that's basically like the best they do. We need media that is directly doing basically propaganda, not to sound like unhinged, but we need to do what Russia does. Russia is extremely effective in appealing to the Western audiences and doing propaganda that is, for example, remember like in 2014, none of us really cared about what America says about us, so we didn't really check. But apparently at that time, people were like consuming Russian propaganda about Maidan and like evil Nazis running around and all of that. Like it was there. Like I didn't know. But Russia was working on what Westerners were thinking back then, and we were not at all. We only cared about, revolution, Yanukovych escaped to Russia, all sorts of things. Understandable. A lot of things were happening in the country. But we didn't really try to, like, paint a picture of ourselves there. And they have a picture of Russians, which is completely wrong and incorrect, the picture that Russia themselves wanted them to see, right? But they barely have a picture of us. Barely. So that is, I think, a big mistake on our end, on like Ukrainian part, that we didn't really think that it's important to find the war machine, the propaganda part of it, like the informational war that Russia is doing. And we managed to somehow, put people at least on our side simply because of the egregiousness of Russian invasion. Like it's so blatantly, aggressive, invasive war that it put a lot of people on our side just by default, But that's not because we tried too hard. It's just because Russia is so blatantly expansionist, imperialist, and evil that it's kind of obvious to many people. But yeah, I think we need to appeal more to the Western and support our own media way more. So like click on it, read it, and share it and all of that, which we don't really do that much. People on Twitter get more clicks than actual like articles that people make in the media. Like
that's true. I think inside media perspective is very different too, because I've worked with a couple of different media outlets, mostly just freelance, never something like signed in on position. But from the inside, there's a lot of stuff that it's all for clicks, a lot of this. So it's all for, well, this story is great. Like, this is really hard hitting stuff. Is anyone really going to care? And then they just throw the story away. It's what I like to call you're basically it's like audience capture, right? So you want your audience to keep coming back, so you're just going to keep feeding them the same and the same and the same and the same. When the job of the media should be, we collect this big audience. Now we're going to point you to where we want you to look. Hi, here is something you would never care about normally. Because you follow us, because we have this relationship with you, you might actually take the time to sit down and read this 5-minute article about something incredibly important. That doesn't happen in Ukrainian media, whether that's the what I call the big three, or that's smaller stuff. The Ukrainian media in Ukrainian tends to be better, but just like Nasia said, it's when it's pointed to Westerners, they really don't do much of that. I also, quite honestly, I know budgets for a lot of the big Western-focused media groups out here, and there's just a lot of wasted money. It's not like a corruption thing. It's not going in someone's pocket. It's just wasted.
Poor management essentially. Yeah, they're just poorly managing stuff there. Yeah,
and a lot of them too. Like there are outliers definitely, but a lot of them they just stay in Kyiv. Like I will have to go and tell like some senior news people, like, hey, did you know this was happening? And they go, what? And I'm like, yeah, I was just there. And they're like, we have nobody to go and do this. We don't know any of this. And it's this disconnect between, hi, we can sit in Kyiv and we can report and we can get these freelancers out in the field. We can pay them, 100, 200 euros or whatever if they're lucky, to go somewhere to report on something. But that person is then not the one in the room when it comes to, hi, this is what the feeling was on the ground.
Yeah, and making the editorial decision. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And those editing rooms then fall back in that same narrative of what would get clicks. That's what my job depends on. So if it doesn't get clicks, well, I guess that story is just not getting told.
Yeah, but also like with the Kyiv thing, right? When people stay in Kyiv, right? They're like, or at the beginning, I remember there was a lot of like memes about people who are in Lviv. And they be reporting like I'm on the front lines, They be having this like I'm actually like real war journalist over here, and like I no offense, like I obviously understand that if people come to Ukraine, even if it's Lviv, it's already better than not coming here at all, right? But like it's I mean, if here from from this part of the country, it's just like, nah, you're not doing war journalism, dude. Yeah, and it's just a lot of like actual like what Devin pointed out, that a lot of people like I read their article, for example, right, and I blame the people for not clicking on them, but now I will blame the actual people who write them as well, because sometimes you like read it and you're like, this is a man or like a woman, whatever, right, the person who is writing that they just read about those news and then read about them in their article. So it's not like they go to the place, they don't do actual like on the ground, as people call it, on the ground reporting. They're not there, they're not talking with people who witnessed what happened. They're not like, for example, in the airstrike, right, Corrie and Devin go to speak with Ivan, who is the owner of that little cafe, right after it happened, right? So that's actual reporting. The strike happened, they went to talk with the person, right? And a lot of people they don't do that at all. They just write articles about things they read in another article.
It's like this regurgitation.
Regurgitation. There you
that
go.
One.
Yep.
It's illegal.
Auditory. It's increased auditory of this person. Yes. So what I want to say, it's still sharing information, because auditory of this person will know this information if they didn't read before. So some pluses there are, but maybe
I mean, better than nothing, I would say. But but
definitely like, better than nothing.
Not engaging,
there can be so many gaps.
People can tell, okay? People are like not really that dumb. Like they are, but not that dumb. Some people like read articles and they're not engaged. Because they know that it's just the blah blah vague, like broad, there's nothing really, like it's completely different level of engagement why like those people who like actually go viral, like those horrible videos that like grifters and people who just wanted to make money make, like Nick Shirley guy, for example, who came back in the day and it was viral Instagram video. He did like, look where our taxes are going, Americans, and he showed like expensive luxury cars in the very center
like Golden Gate in Kyiv, like
Golden Gate. And it's like it's annoying, but it's got a lot of views because first of all, he's actually here. He's showing things, from his. It's like he's vlogging, right? And he's not just doing some sort of like article about a thing that happened, right? And it's kind of like that. And although sharing information is important, of course, but on the ground reporting that gets a lot of views is barely there. Never mind the front lines. Like most people don't even go at all to like the trenches, don't do embeds, don't do anything like with the soldiers at the actual front line, or even the soldiers that are like in the back line, right? That are not like
back third doesn't get any attention either. Like that's a big difference, and like part of the reason why I switched, because I did a lot of the first couple of years, it was a lot of cultural stuff. It was Ukrainian history. It was different social initiatives. That's what I covered. That's, kind of was my specialty because there was not a lot of people doing it. Now, the front line is a lot scarier. And there are far less people willing to go. There's far less news organizations willing to send people who want to go. That's another part of it. So that's part of the reason why I've shifted so much into going out with these different units to the front, because nobody's going to do it at that point. The older journalists are sick of it or think they told every story. And the ones who want to go are usually like, oh, hey, our insurance can't cover you if you get smacked by 20 drones at once. Like,
Shocker.
they're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So, and it's true. It's like, even in the last couple of months, I was down kind of south of Konstantinivka area with Lubart, and I was, I don't know, 3.5, 4-ish kilometers from a Russian position. We're like running through open fields, essentially, blindage to blindage. And, not great. It was not a fun time. But this, November, I was back down that same area, this time 10 kilometers from the front. And that was scarier than being 4 kilometers.
Because of the drones.
Because of the drones. There was so many.
Yeah.
We were trying to build it was with Loot, the tsunami regiment. They had this American spy drone, this Vector. And even just trying to connect all of the pieces and put that together, we had to run back and forth 6 times. Like, just because we'd get there, attach a part, FPV, we just fly back at that point. And it just kept going and going. And they're just like, yeah, it's normal now, So
Oh my goodness.
nobody's
Yeah, and
willing to take that risk anymore.
You have to be like
Except
very
me.
crazy, like Devin, for example, right, to actually do that. And that was not a negative judgment. So you like and you have to do that. Like, it's a risk to your life. You potentially can get maimed, killed, whatever. Nothing good can happen. But also you don't get much money for that, and you also don't get any substantial viewership from that either. So because people are much more interested in just clicking on the most viral hype thing, like, I don't know, how Zelensky bought himself a new dacha thing, it's just that never happened. They're just more interested in like those hype things. And like, I don't know, like someone said something, I don't know, wore a Cartier bracelet, or I don't know, something like it's just people are interested more. It's true, unfortunately, right? People are more interested in that stuff. So why would even like freelance journalists be like, so let's see, I can go to the front and risk to be exploded and get a few clicks and maybe a little bit of money from some Ukrainian organization who can support it, or I can do some viral video in Kyiv, for example, walking around and saying, oh, look, Ukrainians are partying, so no war. Like, it's just, and not many people have like enough good morals or like, virtues, are virtuous enough not to do what's easy and what gives money, instead of doing things that need to be done. And that is something like I, unfortunately, there are a lot of foreigners here who come here and are great people who like, want to help and want to showcase to the world what is happening. But there are many people who come here just for a hype, like doing like viral videos, and just to unironically do like war tourism. So
there's no money in doing this either. I mean, that's the point I really want to hit on. My friend Jose, another crazy foreign journalist out here from Spain. The craziest ones are from Spain too, by the way, just to put that out there. He lives in Kramatorsk and has for like a year and a half.
Still in Krama.
Oh, yeah,
he actually lives there.
He loves it there. We jokingly call him the local. So he was
Local Jose.
The local Jose in Kramatorsk, yeah. He was offered by his news organization 300 euros, all included, travel, fixer, whatever is needed, to get photos inside of Pokrovsk in December.
Yeah.
So
that's what I mean.
If anyone needs context to that,
you got to be crazy to do that.
Crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. To put
it
in perspective for you guys, most of the units we help are fighting in Pokrovsk direction. So for us, it's like, what?
So,
it's like the hottest, the hottest spot.
I know how weird it is.
Yeah, imagine getting offered 300 euros. That's your travel included. And just go into the gray zone. You'll be fine. Get some photos. Like, what?
Exactly what I meant. Yes, thank you, Devin. So only like a craziest of the craziest, not to swear too much, can do this, and they do it because they just want to. You know, it's important to them. They want to. And I love the crazies. Crazies are the best, but like we can't expect like every single journalist, first of all, to be that way, and second of all, there needs to be a compensation for the work like that, and it's just so not only crazies do it. Yeah, because we have a limited amount of crazies, you know, and we need more.
They are finishing too fast. Okay.
We are running out of supplies.
We need to restock our crazies here.
I mean, we love our crazies, okay? But like, if we want to do like, for example, like a big journalism, like actual like movie documentary that is so much expenses. It's like, you know, living there, traveling, equipment, protective gear, like even like just helmets, vests, you know, protective stuff is very expensive. Most people. Yeah, like most people just literally buy it themselves, and you know, and it's just it's not everyone is like invested enough or crazy enough to do it, and that's kind of also the problem. Yeah, I would say that I would throw a shade like at our government a little bit. I think they should be also the ones who like are more invested in doing like informational war, in the sense that like sponsoring journalists, for example, who do that and promoting that big time, right? There was some things that caught attention. For example, like we all know, like for example, Chernov's film. 20 days in Mariupol. Yeah, it was very, very popular. Like a lot of people saw it, all the Oscar stuff, you know, and that. I'm not saying like every film needs to be that, obviously, but there is an interest there. But you have to like actually push it and promote it and do a lot of like stuff about it, right? And there are multiple things like that that are attracted attention, but very little comparatively. So yeah, I think we have like I think Zelensky even appeared even recently like on big podcasts and stuff like that, but before it wasn't really a thing that happened. I was actually memeing about this with my friends, that when I was invited to Piers Morgan, that I'm like second or something Ukrainian they invited, or something like third. No, I wasn't. There was Olena Zelenska there, I think. Yeah, and also at that point there was Usyk, the boxer. And me. Random person with no like it just was then fourth was Zelensky, I think, after I was there as well. So I'm like, you know, and it's silly, you know, it's silly that they had so many people there on Piers Morgan, for example, who are Palestinians, Israelis, representing, you know, like dozens of people, right? And through all of this time they had like 3 Ukrainians, one of them me, you know, of all people. So
you're like so disappointed. Just one me.
I mean, I meant it in more like self, you know, hidden way, like in a sense, like I'm not the like even like the bigger. They should have had bigger, like, you know, people like politicians, like, you know, maybe some sort of representatives, bigger journalists,
maybe a diplomat or two, you know.
Yes, exactly. Like so, and they had like nobody pretty much there, and it shows because like on the exact same show, Piers Morgan's, right, that has so many viewers, so many like eyes on it. They have people from like talk about Ukraine, but there are Westerners talking about Ukraine, and most of them are like on the Russian payroll.
I was going to say, Westerners, if you're lucky, they might just put up an actual Russian there and then go, here's our Ukrainian expert.
Also happens.
You know?
Also happens.
It's a news media thing too.
Yeah. So. For example, in New York Times, as we call them, New York Times, you know, they have Russians all the time writing like stupid ass articles there. And I'm like reading it. Stinks of Russian. I click, it's a Russian person that is speaking about, you know, it's Russian perspective. Yeah. It's not Ukrainian perspective, even if they're against like Putin or whatever. Against the
I remember
invasion.
there was this one article where it was like Ukrainians are tired of war, and it's
a Russian person.
Look, it was written by a Russian.
Yep.
And I'm like, she's like, no, she spoke to people on the ground, and I'm like, sure, sweetie, sure you did.
in a Russian little area in New York, maybe where they live, perhaps. It's just so weird. And like the Ukrainian voices, I have to like fight to be there. Like even when I got that invitation, like for example for Piers Morgan, I was like, should I go? Like it's a very big platform, and there'll be like a bunch of like weird duders there, like people like there was like Cenk Uygur, who is like a young Turk guy who was like a candidate to the president. There was like another person who's like allegedly like some war person, like a soldier or something like that. There was like a big writer, libertarian guy who ended up being Russian hack all the way, like who was arguing with on the show. And me, like I'm not in the same caliber, right, of people. But then I was
and
like,
the general, don't forget the general.
Oh, yeah, the general was based. He saved the day. He then appeared later, and he was awesome. But but anyway, that aside, I actually was behind the stage, behind the scenes. I was like, say thank you to this absolutely glorious gentleman, please. Anyway, point is that I was considering whether I should do it because I didn't want to represent people badly. I didn't want to like fail in a debate or anything, right? But then I was like, if I don't go, there would be no Ukrainians there. So if I go, there's at least one. Better than none. So I decided to
You
go.
and I talked about it quite a bit. Yeah.
And it's like sad that it's the case that you have to like actually break the doors as a Ukrainian to be like represented anywhere. And mostly it's just Russian voices. There was like one article, I don't know if you guys saw it, but there was like this article, I think also New York Times, about like how awful it is that they remove like statues of like Russian in Odessa and like
Pushkin.
Pushkin.
Oh yeah, exactly, Pushkin. Thank you. And it was like,
so she used to live in
It's
Odessa,
near
so
my
she's
home,
like,
so it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
and you'll be like, why are we talking about this on the main page of New York Times? And it's like a person who's like Russian ethnically, who lives now in the United States, I believe. And I was like, why? Like, of all things to talk about, we are talking about the tragedy of removing a Pushkin statue, and people read it. There was a lot of views on that article, and she did the spin about like the repression of the Russian whatever culture, all of that, and you'd be like, Odessa. Are you serious? Like, it's bad. It's bad. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, but. It's weird always this kind of thing of like knowing, like seeing what's being reported and being like, yeah, but I was there. That's not actually how it went down or how it works, But yeah, I actually want to do a very unsmooth transition to talking about your documentary.
Yay!
Yes.
So there are people in chat who say they started watching it and then they will continue watching it after the stream, which is awesome. And it was interesting. So Halina and I watched yesterday on your Patreon, and a lot of these things was like we have a friend who he was a fire captain in Kharkiv. His dad was also a firefighter, and then his
the one
dad
that died.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So with some of the footage and some of the interviews you guys had there with people, we're like, oh yes, we remember that because we spoke to Vova right after that, and we were like, hey, how was that? Because we remember it was a big situation. And he came back. He was very tired, but he sent us a photo of himself smiling, and we're like, dude, you've been on shift for how long? And this is what it is. What I do want to say on that topic, actually, because I forgot, I also do fundraising. That's also part of my job here. I forgot. So just thank you to JJ Killers for becoming a member. But I do want to show you guys this message we got from Vova that I completely forgot about. I remembered it, but then I forgot to share it with Halina. So he no longer works at the fire department. After his dad passed away, he just couldn't deal with it anymore. So, you can't. This is not great. Okay, there we go. So I basically just asked him if he needs anything. But the guys there need to replace the tables in the cafeteria. So we're going to find out the details about that, and then we will help them with that. Yeah. So that is, there we go. So guys, we're going to help Vova with that.
That's a good thing. These guys need to be able to relax after a long day, after speaking with so much of them, especially here. Like, Harkiv's been quieter kind of lately. Relatively, from what it normally is.
By our standards, it's just chill.
Yeah.
Nothing is happening.
I was walking down to the grocery store the other day.
Yes, but nothing like any not that much.
Yeah.
I was walking down by the ATV, heard the rocket hit, everything shook car alarms. I went, I want to go grab some food anyways. So, look, these guys will sometimes work, 11, 10, 12, or more hour shifts at a time. Like, they need a spot where they can just sit and just decompress from it all. When a lot of people took this job, they didn't know exactly what they would be signing up for. They never knew that the war was coming. They didn't know this position that they would be in. And God, just to be able to have a seat and enjoy a meal somewhere, it's so important for someone's psyche. And that can do so much good. So
we actually didn't show that footage. Unfortunately, you can't show everything in the movie.
Obviously,
yeah, but maybe we will post some of it in some different format at some point, because I do think that I'm a little biased, okay, but I really love the interview of my friend Turgut, who's in the Airstrike film. And there was actually a part of the interview that me and Devin we talked with him when he talked about one of his guys who's under his command, right? That came to him one day about being able to spend some time doing things as a fire squad guy. And he came to Turgut and he was like, I'm thinking that's it for me, I'm done, basically. He wanted to kill himself. And he said to Turgut, I don't want to do any of this anymore, really. And Turgut was like, okay, brother, it's gonna be fine. We will get you help. And he came to him to the hospital. They helped him to get back from this absolutely depressing state he was in, suicidal stuff. And I remember Turgut was just keep an eye on him, please, and never take your eyes out from him, because he's he can kill himself. And he ended up being better and returned into the service. And it was because he trusted Turgut as his big brother commander so much that he actually came to him thankfully, instead of doing it somewhere quietly and just taking his life, right? And then he returned and started doing his vulgar jokes and all of that back, showing his
tattoos everywhere.
Yeah, he's returned to the life full scale. But I'm just saying, it's just to highlight that how actually, even if they're smiling, even if they seem so hyped, and it doesn't mean that they're mentally having a very easy time at all. They need some place to for Turgut, for example, it's his family, right? He goes to his wife and children, and that's his safe space. I'm live and work at work area, right? But many people need some time out of it just to feel a little normal sometimes. So that's important for sure.
I just want to shout out some donations we got from Johannes, but I'm not sure if he was watching the stream or just found our link elsewhere. So if you are watching, thank you for the 58 euros.
Thank you.
Brian, thank you for the $135. And Renato, thank you for the 100 euros. And Tanae, thank you for the, where is it now? $10. Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. So I think what was interesting for me to see was how coordinated the whole approach became. Bohdan from the emergency situation center was explaining how they controlled everything, and I was like, it makes sense that something like this would be well coordinated. Obviously it makes sense, but then also it was interesting to see how quickly. Guys, this has also just turned into a bragging about the documentary that you guys definitely need to go watch stream. So it was interesting to kind of see that change. And Anna, you've obviously lived in Kharkiv for your
Yeah,
whole
I was
life.
born here. Yeah,
Or-
pretty
yeah.
much.
Kharkiv girl.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was it like, for you going in, was it like, oh crap, I had no idea this was
Exactly.
actually what was going on behind the
Yeah.
scenes?
We had no
Exactly,
idea
yes.
when we were walking into it.
It
Yeah.
was. It's just a very, very funny story. Me and Devin can like tell our like parts of it. But basically, I was like, so Devin, me and Devin worked with volunteer org called Dusha Kharkiv, and they are like they cook food essentially for the refugees and for the soldiers, but they also arrive at the sites of strikes when they happen, and they bring like food, drinks to the people who wait for their like loved ones to be like found or not found, or you know how it is, right? And we talked with them and like did a bunch of things with them, helped them pay their debt, which was, by the way, 1 million yuan, like 1 million hryvnias
Yeah.
of debt that they were in, and we covered that and helped them with donations and stuff like that, so they can continue cooking and continue their work. But anyway, point is that I am, you know, friendly with them obviously, and they were like, and there was a woman who's like the main person in the volunteer center, and she's like, I know this guy like Bogdan, who's like basically like the director of like the SNS Kharkiv everything. Like, do you want to chat with him? I'm like, yep. We do, in fact. Yeah. So she was like, gave me his number. I talked with him, and it was very funny because he was like super chill, and he was like, oh yeah, we should meet up. And I thought we're gonna do like a little interview like in a cafe or something.
Yeah.
Like, you know, just meet up like at his home, maybe, like something like that. And I'm like, and I'm very casual about it, and I'm like, Devin, like bring your ass like here, we're going to this place. And Devin was also
And that's
like
how
very
you pitched it. You're just like, oh, there's going to be like this higher up guy at DSNS. Like, he's the youngest head in DSNS. He wants to talk with us. He's like, cool with that. And I'm like, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You know? At that
and I
point,
was
by
like-
the way, too, I still didn't know I was making a documentary. So this was just
Yeah.
like, sure, we'll go with
yeah,
that.
just very chill. Yeah. So we ended up going, and we got meet him. He's a lovely person, and you know, we talked with him a little bit, and he like brings us into the, you know, like in the American movies, CIA like things when there's like screens everywhere,
Yeah.
and like secret
Yeah.
bunker thing, you know, with like a bunch of expensive like equipment, all sorts of things. And me and Devin are going to this like basically bunker, and we're like, look at each other, like.
Like, we got clearance for
How
this?
did we end up here? And we end up here because obviously Roxana vouched for us, the woman from the volunteer, and they have like absolute trust with each other. So she like vouched for us. They did a background check obviously on us, so it wasn't like absolutely random. But for us, it seemed like it was, and we were like shown things, absolutely crazy stuff, like how they know
Yeah.
like which house has how many stores, which apartments, which people live in those, like potentially what the roof
Here's their
is
phone
made
number
of.
if you need to call them to check out of it.
And
like,
it's a whole database and all of that. And I obviously knew that they do it somehow, but I didn't know that they're doing it this way.
Yeah.
Or like the way they like just zoom in on the strike and they like send all the teams there and all the people like and yeah, just all of it was like shown to us. We obviously couldn't, you know, film a lot of things there.
Obviously,
We were
yeah.
not allowed, yeah, but like what we could show, we showed, and all that effort of the coordination and such a unique sort of transformation, in particular in Kharkiv, right, that happened because it was like this 9/11, 911 thing in the United States, right? When you call it, and it's like
911.
all of it is like one thing. It's a big coordination, completely different from how it is in like post-Soviet countries or like Europe, even like Germany and countries like that, when everything is a separate police people here, fire squad here, ambulance here, and here it's all one thing. So it's all like incredibly well coordinated, and they reduced, as we showed, like, you know, in the movie, their time of reaction significantly. So it's like almost instantly they can do that after like merely seconds, basically, after the strike happens. And it's so impressive. And like we Ukrainians and we Kharkiv in particular citizens, we obviously see how well they work. We see it like when strikes happen, how efficient they are. I myself, you know, had a thing like that when, you know, my father was killed, and I, you know, worked with the you know, firemen arrived at the spot, our house destroyed and stuff like that. You know, ambulance, everything. Even back then was very good. before this whole coordination center. They treated us well. They did everything they could for us. They treated my mom very well because she was like in shock and like screaming and all of that. She needed like sedatives and stuff because she, you know, witnessed what happened to him, and she was there as well at the strike. So anyway, they treated us perfectly. But since then, it became even more like well coordinated, absolutely amazing stuff that people do. And me and Devin were so hyped that we can actually show that. And there was like a bunch of how it's called, Devin, the USA thing.
USAID was like more than 50% of the funding for it. The command center where it is, this like secret bunker, is the first one of its kind in Ukraine, and the only one that's exactly like that. There are similar things that have been attempted and started in, I believe it's Zaporizhia and Dnipro. There's some version in Kyiv, but to this extent, the only version of that lives in Kharkiv. And they set it up, you know, a couple of months and got it running incredibly efficiently, like down to the wire on there. Like they do incredible work. Anasia, I remember you actually told me something when we were leaving there, and it's that that was the reason you went to the protests in 2014.
To the what?
To the protests in 2014 in Euromaidan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot what things I said. It's just that what I meant is basically when I saw this coordination center and how it functions and how they're like they're like, we want all the young people here. Like most age of our like workers is below 30. So there are like young people there, not like, no offense to old people, but they're a little bit, you know, out of touch sometimes with like technology, with things like that, right? And they're like, we want to no bureaucracy, we want like absolute efficiency, no corruption, nothing. We need this to work like as smoothly as possible. And that's why the city of Kharkiv is alive, essentially. Like despite being like absolutely blasted to shits in 22, 23, especially, right, and 24 as well, we are very functional. And this is partially because of the love that people like that have for their work and for the city as well. But it is also because when I was, you know, at the Maidan at the time when I was 19, right, I was like, I want this to be Ukraine, right? I want this to be Ukraine in every sense, not in this particular, but every organization, every governmental structure. I want them to be like this. I want them to be efficient. I want them to be corruption free. I want them to be well coordinated. I want them to be something that you could be proud of, right? Because I felt proud, you know, as a Kharkiv citizen in that coordination center, not for me, but for the people who did it, right? And I was like, oh my God, that's so actually elevating. It's so exciting to see like people like do things that we never thought possible even before, because everyone was so resigned, you know, we're never gonna be anything, nothing will be fixed, we're gonna suck forever, you know. And now you see this and you like, no, actually there is an incredible potential in people, there's an incredible drive in people to improve things, right? And it's difficult, obviously, for various reasons, Russians aside, like Russian war aside, there's in Ukraine a lot of problems, of course, right? But yeah, that was what I meant when I said to Devin that I went to Maidan in 2014 because I wanted to see this sort of thing everywhere. I knew we had that. I knew we could do it. And despite like the obstacles, the progress you see in Ukraine is always heartwarming because the obstacles are so huge. Like from Russian invasion, occupation, bombing, destruction of our like energy system, absolutely like destruction of factories, businesses, like all of that. But also because of the corruption in the country itself, because of the difficulty of like getting rid of like Russian influence, for example, that is a problem everywhere, by the way, not just Ukraine. It's a problem in Romania. It's a problem in Moldova. It's a problem like, you know, in various countries that are
United States,
South Africa.
United States as well. But anyway, we have a lot of Russians everywhere doing influence. So it's just that so things like that, they genuinely like make you proud that you actually was there and you actually thought like I don't regret it, you know, when people like ask all the time in the United States, like, don't you regret like going to Maidan because like it led to war? And I'm like, loaded question. First of all, yeah, and second of all, no. Not at all. Like, I don't regret it even in the slightest because I'm not responsible for what they did. I'm not responsible that removing the tyrannical authoritarian, person like Yanukovych who shot all over this country and all over those people, right? And I don't think that I am responsible that a reaction of Russia to that was to invade and occupy. So I don't accept that, I don't accept responsibility for that. And yeah, despite, and they're like, well, your father like literally was killed, and I'm like, and like it doesn't change.
I am aware of that.
I'm very
Thanks.
aware. It doesn't change the fact that that I'm still proud of that, because people went there for the good reasons. They went there to have a life that we deserve to have. They have a life that that many people in the West are born to have like functioning laws, to have human rights, to have economy that is stable and functional, to have institutions that work without like major corruption and stuff like that. And it's absolutely nothing wrong, and I will not apologize for wanting those things that people have, and I do think deserve those things in Ukraine and many other places as well. So yeah, that was interesting time with questions like that. Yeah.
Can I give a little bit give feedback? You mentioned that one of challenges is to put people to bring to people this empathy or sympathy. Yeah.
Mhm.
But exactly, I wrote notice yesterday when I was watching with Yana. And I put this exactly words. I was very proud to see what I see and to listen what I can listen now in this document, in your document.
Thank you. Oh,
It's
that's very sweet. Thank you.
exactly
Дякую,
this.
дуже приємно так.
So job to bring the sympathy, and I want that Ukrainians also will see this document. Yeah, I understand it was produced for Westerns because it's a global mission, but there is some mission for us because we are now in so hopeless situation because we don't know these amazing things. The same, I had these feelings a year ago when we visit like some point of military officer stuff. Yeah, and as you said, like all the screens and like, oh, really? And just looking to the age of people who surrounded me, it's like you mentioned. And during these 3 years which we are working with PK with Yana, it's about commandment staff, which are also young people, which are very open for changing. Yeah, I respect wisdom of elder people because I'm elder person, more than 40. But
Oh no, not. I meant like actual ancient people. Like, I was talking about 70-year-olds in power. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But I understand this energy and influence for future. Yeah, future works for future right now, and it would be amazing if all Ukrainians could have this proud, have in their hearts what we are doing, for what we are staying, because also Ukrainian media show a lot of like these torchful stories, but it's stories of losers and destroying. But I think it have to be 50 by 50%, like to build for our culture, for our people, this perspective that yes, it's a most horrible times during last 100 years, but we are growing under huge pressure. We are growing with huge steps, with huge champion of development in every spheres of our lives. So I'm very grateful for these feelings from you. You show this, so I was like, I know, I've been in Kharkiv like a year ago. I saw some blogs which you showed, and yeah, it's powerful. Powerful influence.
Yeah.
I really, really appreciate you saying that, because that's also something I really wanted to, and Devin as well, wanted to come through. Like that's kind of like why it ends on such a like sort of hopeful note. And we ended up, Devin made like basically a decision to end it with like a bit of jokey jokes, a bit of like, like some elevated stories from people, because like despite the whole fucking horror of everything that is happening, you can't be not inspired, because like all the best people are doing things, right? The people like in that are rescuers, farmers, people that are soldiers, people that are volunteers, just regular people who donate, who talk about things, who try to show, like you do as well, right? To talk with people about it. They're all people who are very, very deserving. And I really want people to have that sense of like deserved pride. Not the kind that Russians have for nothing, right? But awful things that they do.
Real things, yeah.
Yeah, but the real things that they do, and it's just that there needs to be this like positive unifying message as well, because it's just that it's so difficult. Like every day you like wake up and everything is horrible. Like I remember I had this like down period as well when in particular in 2000 in 24 when we had like the shell hunger and the Congress stopped, you know, the given us any aid for like 6 months and stuff like that. And I unfortunately in that period lost a lot of people, especially like, for example, like I talked with people like WhatsApp, you know, stuff like that, and I talk with particular people from 43rd Brigade, 113 Brigade, you know, I talk with people like all over the place, right? And I had a bunch of guys who I regularly chatted with, and they would tell me what is happening, what they need, which we should bring them as a volunteer, right? And half of them I no longer here, you know. I lost like all the connection. So at that period in time, I really felt like very, you know, not depressed but very sad, because I was like, is this like sacrifice, right? Is it for something? Like, will there be? I just felt like the worst thing ever is for all those sacrifices to be for nothing, right? And I was like very afraid that might happen. That all of this will not lead anywhere, and I'm out of that like headspace now, thankfully. But there is, I feel like many people feel that way, right, in Ukraine. That that they have this feeling of like despair, right, about how the state of affairs is, and they're not as positive or like believing in like they used to be. And it's understandable. Things are very shit. I don't want to like, you know, to be like delusional about it or to be like forcefully positive or anything like that. But yeah, people stories like that, the coordination center, right, and the rescue teams that are just very they're very elevating, they're very inspiring, because it gives you strength as a person as well to get up and do things, to get up in the morning and then go, you know, and do your thing. Because people do so many things, like for example, like the SHA volunteer guys, right, who I talked about, who cook food for like refugees and soldiers and stuff. They wake up like at 5 in the morning and go there like 5 days a week, and they cook like until 1 o'clock or like 2 o'clock. And then they go in their night shifts to work, or like their evening shifts to work. And they've
been doing that since 22, yeah?
Exactly,
like, literally the start, so.
Compared to them, I'm a lazy ass, okay? In comparison to those people, I'm not doing anything. And yeah, it's just very inspiring, because you think like how much effort and how much dedication people do. And we have so many things to offer, like that other people don't really have. And I really want us all Ukrainians, like, you know, as a nation, to be out of this mindset that we don't deserve things, that we deserve to be treated poorly, that we deserve to be that we don't deserve a place at the table. And we can be treated, for example, like, no offense to the United States, Trump treated, for example, Zelensky during that infamous round table thing. Yes, and it's enraging, and it should be. Because we should not take that treatment anymore. We deserve better. And I really want people to know how many effort is being, how many people is there to, you know, to show that we actually deserve things. We work for them really hard, harder than many other people do, right? And yeah, just I do want that to translate in stuff that we do, that there is this positivity, and that there is this progress. And sometimes you'd be like, even people who left, you know, you probably all have friends of people who like abroad, right? And they'd be like, everything sucks, banking doesn't work, like it's not digital. Yeah, you can't go to the doctor normally, you can't do this and that. And like, I don't want to be mean, but it makes me like happy, not because they suffer, but because I'm like, well, it's so rare to see like so many good things, and people like don't appreciate things when they hear, right? And I have like a bunch of like my friends who are women, right, who left, for example, Ukraine, and then they go back and they do the tour here, like going to the cosmetologist, going to like doctors, yeah, gynecologists, dentists, and I'm like, excuse me, like yeah, and we have those. And it's just something that we need to learn to see. Not just we should see the bad, 100%. So we don't want to be like Russia, like that doesn't like acknowledge anything wrong with their country, right? We should be fighting corruption. We should be fighting all the other things that are negative, right? But we also need to highlight as much as we can the positive. So also for our own sakes, and our image abroad as well, I think.
And it's so important. Everywhere I go in this country, it's, you know, whether it is like 4-ish kilometers from the front line, or whether it's with a, you know, some PPO crew, some air defense crew, or with the firefighters, you know. A lot of times the guys like to be goofballs, and you know, they'll like show a video on their phone, and like the guys in their bunker have like turned off the lights and set their headlamps to flash, and they have like rave music going on as they're dancing around. Or, you know, especially in this documentary, like it was Total Good actually that gave me this idea, because
he's a goofball,
a little bit, but like his interview was like an hour and a half long. And we probably could have kept going for another hour and a half, honestly. But specifically when we were getting close to the end, he said, he's like, wait, I want to give you a couple of positive stories. Like we were very lucky, and we asked him to be very open and honest with us. Shout out to Feig for helping with that.
I had my friend who's Azerbaijani as well. He's you know, friends with Feig. It's Azerbaijani mafia over here. Okay, in our a lot of them, and we like invited Feig basically to be like this cozy, chill. So you know, Turgut feels like he's talking to his friend essentially, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And Feig was like there in the background, like hyping him up basically.
Yeah,
so that's why the interview I think ended up being so like honest and so relaxed
100%.
and natural.
because we were like
very
we didn't want him to feel like stiff, like he's doing like some official press tour, you know. And I think it worked in that sense.
Absolutely. And he wanted to end off that interview with a couple of positive stories and a couple of like these happier moments that he had, because that's also part of his reality. You know, he's very open, he's very honest with us about a lot of the horrible things that he saw and that he's experienced. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, we got done and he's Mr. Big Smile and like giving everyone hugs and offering, and that's all of these guys. You know, there was never anyone I've spoken with in DSNS really who comes off as this like dark shadow of a person. Everyone always has some positivity, some happy moments, and that's what they choose to put forward. So I can't, you know, not every story we're going to do is going to have or be able to have some positivity to it. So God, when I can, I want that to come through as much as possible.
Yeah, one thing me and Devin are so annoyed by was that you don't see that in the movie, okay? Because we deleted that. Rather, Devin deleted that with his magic editing skills. But he's just basically there was a lot of swearing, okay? There's a lot of like swearing there that we had to remove. And like Bagdan messaged me, and he's like, okay, so the movie is very great. I really like it, but like I swear too much, I will get in trouble with like the SNS. I'm like command, you know, I'm a director of it, so I have to be like more official, quote unquote. And it's funny because Kiev people didn't have any swearing. There was no swearing in Odessa. In Kharkiv, there was a ton of swearing. so we had to like delete like of it. And I'm like asking Devin, like, Devin, it's urgent, attention, big sign, you know, you have to delete all the blood basically and all of that, all the pack, you know. And Devin is like, oh my God, like, and he's like trying to, do you need my help? Like I can, you know, timestamp like the parts when you need to delete. And he's like, no, I'm fine. I'm, you know, I can hear it like by ear and stuff. And he ended up missing a couple, obviously, but. But yeah, then he wrote me like one of the funniest messages I personally have received. It was like 3 in the night, like very deep in the night. And Devin is like editing, you know, in the night editing, and he records an audio message to me, like with a very like sort of like sleepy, tired voice, and he's like, "I live in fear of a hidden blood." That it's somewhere there, that he didn't delete it, and it's just I was like, welcome to the eastern of Ukraine, buddy. You will be living in fear of the hidden blood forever. It was very funny. Yeah, and Turgut as well even had to go through that. He doesn't swear that much.
Yeah.
He's a very sort of like polite guy, and but he told us a story about the music in the movie as well when they were blasting music, and
Yeah.
he actually was blasting Vova Yebashich Blad, that song, you know, and we had to delete that, unfortunately. That was the song that he was blasting because of the goddamn censorship. But yeah,
It's all the old people at DSNS headquarters.
yeah, and old
It's not-
people.
yeah.
You see old people do that shit. They're like, you can't swear, and I'm like, yeah, like it's so silly as well because like there's like missiles raining in the area.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no
don't swear.
swearing.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
don't swear. Be polite about those missiles. Yeah, yeah, that's funny.
Oh my goodness. Something that kind of made me think like need to remember when you guys were interviewing Anatoly,
Mhm.
right? He said he kind of said that for him he always tries to tell people like, look, please oh, sorry, just I see Viper, who is Halina's husband, and he says, I still battle to leave Zesu at work and not bring it home.
Yeah.
Like, this is swearing.
It's a rough ship, I'll tell you. So
Yeah. And Halina's like, I love. So their thing is they're both trying to get each other to stop swearing, but they actually just love swearing.
Yeah.
And
Same. You
I'm
know,
okay
I
with
don't.
not swearing in Ukrainian. I do this in English because in English it's just some random word which like
It
just
doesn't
in the air.
count, you know? So yeah.
I mean, you would expect, honestly, like when people are in such a such a emotionally stressful situations, they need to somehow release that. And one of the good ways to do that is to swear, obviously. So there's nothing like wrong
Yeah.
with that, but like unfortunately, we had to do some censorship shenanigans. Yeah.
yeah. So what I wanted to say is, it was interesting when he said, when Anatoly said, you know, he always tells people, no matter what is coming in, go to the shelter. A house is not a shelter.
Super.
Okay. And I mean, I was in Ukraine for 3 weeks, no, 4 weeks, and I did not go to the shelter.
Yeah.
I never go anywhere.
I was in Halina's.
No.
I was in Halina's corridor, and is it like weird when you're hearing that? You're sitting here with this guy and he's like, please go to the shelter. And you're like, I know you're telling me this, but this is the same as someone telling you like, have a complicated password. And you're like, yeah, but I'm going to use the same password for 5 different
Yeah, and they're all
things.
going to
I'm
be the
still
same,
gonna
and
do.
like no changing whatsoever, right?
And
Yeah.
gonna be
It's
the same.
Bahdan said
And-
the same thing, like so. It's all dishonest people say that, and on one hand, it's good that they say that because
Janочka, if you speak with me now, I cannot answer you because I cannot hear anymore.
Oh, did your...
Headphones died.
I think her headphones died.
Oh yeah. What do we do?
Let me just message her. I'll just message her quickly.
Maybe we can wait or something.
Okay, I think I can listen you again.
Can you hear us?
Hi.
Oh no, it's giving weird audio output on her
Oh.
side. Let's see here.
Technical
Okay.
difficulties all night. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Also, Bjorn is here. Hi, Bjorn. Because I did not send him a link, but I'm like, dude, you follow us on Instagram and on Twitter.
yeah, you could be. You
You
know?
have the link.
Yeah.
But
What was the? What were we talking about?
we were talking about Bogdan.
Oh,
also saying
shelter.
go to shelter.
Yeah. So honestly, though, they need to tell that, and that's true. That you know, if you have a direct hit of a Shahed drone or a missile of any kind, if it actually hits the building, you're screwed. So it's not a corridor will not save you. Corridor will save you from maybe glass that flies from shrapnel pieces that may stuck in the wall. So it's still better to go to the center of the house, the corridor, obviously, right? And my mom actually proves this theory because my father didn't do that and died, and she did go to the center of the house and didn't die and got like a bunch of scratches. So it's like it was actually proven in my family that you should go to the corridor. But apart from that, it's just that most people don't have access to shelters, to be honest. Like it's not like you can just go down and be like, oh, shelter. In my, for example, case in Kharkiv, we're very close to Russia, so it flies so fast. If there's like a missile, there's no time whatsoever to do anything about it. So if I wanted to go to the quote unquote shelter, the closest one I have is a metro station. And the metro station is about 10 minutes from me. So like walking distance. So do I run during the massive shelling there with 10 minutes outside to go? Like if it was in advance, like if we had like, oh, in 10 hours, Russians about to bomb us, then that would make sense. You would go to, shelters and things like that. But like for most people, it's just in Kiev, people do go to the metro station quite often, right? Before
because there is that, when things launch, like shaheds are usually a 30-minute in advance. Oh, stuff's coming. Oh, okay, I'm going to go head down. If there's reports or monitors are like, hey, there's going to be a big attack. Okay, people will like set up camp kind of down there ahead.
Yeah, but in the East, nobody does that because there's very little time. Like there's like, usually I get like the message like on the the app or something like Shahed is flying. Be there in a minute. It's like it's incredibly fast. You don't have like enough time to. The best you can do is go to like the corridor or like go step away from the windows. Maybe if someone has like a functional basement in there, like a building that they can get down to, maybe. But like in most cases, you just don't have that easy access of a shelter or time to go to it if you are in the eastern parts or southern parts of the country, really. And sometimes in the West as well. Sometimes they get smacked as well. Like in Kyiv also gets like missile blasts. Sometimes like 10 minutes, like time with, and it's also not enough. If a person, for example, doesn't live near the metro station, they live somewhere, I don't know, somewhere doesn't come to mind, but they live in a very long like part that they need to like
area somewhere.
Some like 30 minutes to get to the like a metro station or something, like and it's just some people just don't understand that. For example, like a lot of Israelis I remember wrote to us like, why can't you just go to the shelter like we do? And you're like, dude, you get like 4 hours notification before the drone from Iran, I think, reached you. Like it's a completely different thing, okay? No offense, like to anyone, but like it's just it's not like that. Here I'm like, oh, a smack, oh, another, okay. I sometimes there's sometimes even no alarm whatsoever because it just doesn't. It's too fast. It's like ultrasonic, super speedy missile flies here, and it's like we have like in Kharkiv we have like how much, like 40-minute drive to Belgorod. So it's like Russia is like right there. It's a very short distance for a missile to fly. So that's kind of like But if you have a shelter available and if it's easy to access for you, then you should 100% go. But like for most people, it's just that it's not really available. And you're tired.
I agree with that for most people, especially. For us, I think it can kind of also feel different because, for me, it's like, I got used to it. Like airstrike, schmerstrike, like you put another blanket over you, like text people to make sure you're good. Like, because I'm used to like, running around with these guys now out in the fields to where, you fall asleep to artillery fire or, you're sitting somewhere in Dnipro Oblast. And you're just like hear things, dun, 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 and that's what you go hear all night, every night. So it's one of those things that you have to remind yourself of. It's like that is the proper course. You should go to the shelter, and then also recognizing that you as a person go, just not do it. Like also, it's do as I say, not as I do. So.
In the defense of attitude, is that sometimes it's just that when you, for example, in Lviv, for example, right, and there are missiles that reach it, but rarely. It's rarely. It happens rarely, right? So for you, like couple times a month, or maybe like once a month, or once in a couple of months in a city, like for example Khmelnytsky, or like I don't know Poltava, something like that, right? It happened, but like it's so rare that it's not that big of a difficulty to do that, maybe. But if you live in a city, for example, like Kharkiv, every
Yeah.
day, multiple times per day, you're gonna run to a
Mhm.
shelter.
For
No,
hours and
yeah,
hours,
yeah,
like
you just won't be able to work. You won't be able to do
Mhm.
anything useful in
Yeah.
your life if you just say you might as well live in that shelter, honestly. Like it just doesn't
Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense. Like I wouldn't be able to do anything. And also, unfortunately, you also just you're tired. Like you're like I have horrible insomnia as is. Like I don't sleep much at all. But like when I'm in the bed and I'm like having this like third day of no sleeping, and I'm like, do I get up? No. Like if I die, I die. I don't know. I don't care. Like
Yeah.
it's just it's like it's rough, but like you just it
Yeah.
just depends on the amount. If it's daily, then people
Mhm.
just stop caring about
Mm.
it as much. You know?
Yeah.
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 So thanks for confirming what I have felt, but I was like, I'm
You're
not sure if
welcome.
I'm the out, if
Yeah.
it's only me.
We gave you bad advice right now, but you're
Honestly,
welcome.
it's even city to city. I have people here in Kharkiv. They, when I would come here when I still lived in Kyiv, they would go, "Do people in Kyiv really go down to the shelter
Oh
when there's an
yeah.
airstrike?" Like it's a myth. Like that's the crazy thing that
Yeah.
happens. So
Yeah, you see videos on Telegram or like Twitter that from Kiev that people actually go like to the metro station, and there's quite a bit of people on like the platform and stuff like that. And people in Kharkiv are like, seriously,
yeah,
it's not that they're wrong, by the way. It's
Mhm.
good to protect
It
yourself,
is
and
right.
but
Yeah.
yes, yeah, especially if you get hit, then you won't be able to cry later. Okay, you will be dead likely. So it's way better than to be like in a protective place. I don't want to be like giving bad advice to people. Okay, don't
No,
listen
no,
to us.
no.
Yeah, yeah,
Again,
but like
don't do as we do as we say. So
yeah, like I don't want to be like responsible for someone saying
no,
fuck it
no.
and then getting exploded. So
Anna said I did not need to go to the shelter.
no.
Yeah. Stop Russian missile. I was told I could be here.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I don't want to do that. But yeah, I just
I
yeah, the
mean,
reality is and it's no wonder that you felt like in that moment,
Mhm.
because most people feel that way. It's true.
yeah. I mean, I guess it also didn't help that I was hanging out with a Ukrainian,
Yeah.
where Helena
So
was like,
Mm.
that was the very
we're just sitting
first
in the
thing.
corridor.
Whenever I first came out here, I'm like, is everyone else panicking? No. Okay, I'm good then.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That's like, so like in Kiev, I was by myself, but it was a bunch of Ukrainians around me, and none of them are panicking. I'm like, cool, okay, guess we're not panicking.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, this is Kiev. This is where people go to the
Mhm.
metro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm like,
people just
not even here.
don't give
People
a
are
fuck at all. Like nobody cares.
No.
Like I don't even people see, which is bad, by the way. But people like don't even like
Yeah.
vacate the streets sometimes. I have just recently that
Oh, yeah.
happened to me. I told Devin if I actually ran somewhere for once because I was getting to the postal office, and I had to go to Ukrposhta, which I rarely do. I usually go for Poshta, but I got
Mhm.
a package from a friend from United States, and I was like, I have to go pick up this package. And like in the process of me like joyfully going to that Ukrposhta thing to get the package, I hear a buzzing very, very loud, incredibly loud. And I'm like, and it's literally at your head, like above. And I'm like,
Literally above.
ah. Yeah, and like running back home like is not an option. Running to the metro is not an option. So I ran to this Ukrposhta podval, like it's like a basement thing, and I like hit there. And then like a bunch of people squeezed there, and it was actually rare, but only because it was directly above us. If it was like a street, nobody would go. Like a couple of streets away, nobody goes anywhere. Like actually directly above you, yes, people might be able to go somewhere. So it's kind of like that. And everyone was like in this Okerposhta basement, everyone was like annoyed, basically. It was a mild annoyance that you have to like stay there for 20-30 minutes just in case. And it's it's just so regular, and it's crazy that it is the case, but like
Yeah.
but you get like this sort of like you get disincentivized, and you get sort of like lose any sense of care over it, and I think that's a
Yeah.
defensive mechanism in a way. Like people
Yeah.
defend themselves that way, because
Mhm.
imagine if you lived in constant fear, you would like don't be able to, you'll lose your mind if you like every time you hear a buzz and you're like, oh, you will have to leave the country. Then you can't live like that. It's impossible, right? And yeah, in us I only feel any sort of like actual fear for other people usually I call them or like ask them or something.
Mhm.
And I also feel fear sometimes as well when it's really, really close. So when it's like shakes the
Mhm.
entire apartment. I had like a bunch of pickled tomatoes
no,
and
yeah.
crash recently. And because of the strike, that was like not recently, but some time ago, there was like a hit near the bar very close to me, like basically like just 1 minute away. And it shook the apartment so much that we had like a bunch of консервация, like pickled stuff,
Oh my
and my
goodness.
mom was like so mad and sad that
Yeah.
the jams and the pickles and everything got
Aw,
crashed.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's just it's just kind of like that. And sometimes in the shower, honestly, I get very spooked because I don't want to die in the shower, and I also don't want
Same.
and I also
Same.
don't want to die on the toilet like Tywin Lannister in the Game of
Yeah.
Thrones. So yeah, that's where
You and
that's where
Elvis. That's another rare group you could be a part of. You and Elvis on the toilet. So
yeah, that's when I feel fear. Okay, when I'm on the toilet.
I think it was earlier last year sometime, and I don't even know how this came across my feed, but it was basically people who just like Ukrainians who just started having random, like this one guy just had a random question. He's like, hey, so I have a question. If I'm hit in an air alert, but I was asleep, but I sleep naked, will emergency services get me dressed before carrying me out on the stretcher?
They usually just
they will
cover up.
not.
Yeah, maybe a blanket if you're lucky. So don't sleep naked.
No, but so this was like someone was like, "Are you concerned while you are dead, or is this while you're still like maybe you're still alive?" He's like, "No, just in general. I'm not asking this. I just want to know in general, right?" And people were like, "You are so weird."
Did you
not
go down the
maybe.
rabbit hole?
That just stuck out.
It's actually
I was gonna say,
normal.
did you go down the rabbit hole one step further? Because there is one level like of kind of crazy stuff right below that. And it's that people will get very expensive, nice-looking pajamas specifically to wear during an airstrike, so that if they die, they look great. You know, like
Guilty. I'm so guilty of this. I never bothered.
Yes.
I like slept in t-shirts and stuff. Like, who cares, right? And then I was like, wait a second. Like, if I'm in the old, like ratty t-shirt or some like stupid shorts with like I don't know, nylon stitch on it, like or some like Disney thing, I don't know. It's gonna be stupid. Like if I ever like put on a screen for million people to see, like in Ukraine, in in the West, so at least I have to be like sort of like dressed okay. And it was actually a trend, I think, amongst women in particular in Ukraine.
Yeah, apparently because Halina's husband just confirmed that she does the same.
Understandable, okay, relatable.
Yeah, you said it's maybe crazy, but show me one Ukrainian who wasn't thinking about this. I don't know such people. Everyone was thinking about this. Come on, because like moment of death, it's what people divide for two types. Or think very often, have fear, have plans about, or don't think at least, but mostly first category, mostly people first category. So it's normal, like to plan. Ukrainians, we are collect money for our funerals. Come on, it's tradition. So we are thinking about this stuff. It's not something weird. It's just strange for all another world.
It's true. It's just that it's just you just think about things like that because they're so often happening, right? It's just it's like it's stupid that you have to consider things like that. Obviously, that you live in actually like in Europe in 21st century, and you have to think about what type of pajamas I need for a Iskander strike. Yeah, it's a little bit weird for sure in that sense, but it's just a weird reality. So it's not us, okay, who's weird. This is the reality that is weird. And and also like so many like people saw footage of people like in the shower when there was like this infamous I don't remember where it was. I think it was in Kiev or maybe in Kharkiv. I don't remember. It was way back. There was like this cleaved into building basically after the strike, and there was a girl there who was in the bathroom at the time it happened, and she was like in the towel, basically naked, and you can't not think about that being you at some point. So it's just it's like that, I guess. But the pajama industry is thriving, it's it's right. And it's just there was a lot of things like that were very strange. I example one of my things was when there was I told you about the whole summer of cabs, we call it, like when there was
The
like so
Cubs,
many
yeah.
cab like aerial bombs dropped on us, that I actually for the first time seriously started considering that every day is the last day, because I have like 7-10 strikes in my particular area, because they could reach it. And I was just it was weird to even go outside at the point, because it just was endless. And my mother, who is like a tough cookie generally, I caught her like crying like in the corridor, basically like on the floor, afraid. And I was like, shit. So I messaged all of people. I was like, thank you very much, like Westerners who work with me, like if I die, I know that you're a cool dude, thank you very much. And you know, I messaged like a bunch of people, because I was genuinely considering that's a very high possibility, you know, at that period in particular, right, in time. And I even gave people my passwords, like to like money stuff, like cards and stuff like that. And I was like, so everyone has access. And I was thinking, wait, if I die, nobody will be able to manage those like $500 that I have on this account. They will do nothing, those $500. So I gave my, you know, my passwords and stuff like that. So it's just, you know, it's a normal consideration in the highly abnormal situation. I think there was like this phrase somewhere recently I saw that abnormal reactions to abnormal circumstances is normal behavior. So when the situation is like so abnormal, you will be reacting to it what maybe isn't really normal. So yeah.
Luckily, we have a psychologist here with us.
Hey.
Yeah, my sister's actually
I
a
wonder
psychologist.
where.
So. Yeah,
That's
so
also
I'm like
good.
surrounded by them on all fronts.
Always analysis. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like you hate it. Like you hate being analyzed. You Freud freak. All right.
The thing that was interesting with me with Alina, right?
Sorry, I'm gonna get punished for that look later. Okay, go ahead. So
yes, you exposed that I was super interested in Freud in when I was in university. Okay, big expose, sir. Yeah. Anyway, it's just yeah. It is funny though. That people like my sister like tells me a lot of funny strange stories. She works mostly with like teenagers, helping them during this time to feel like, you know, a little bit less anxious, a little more like grounded and stuff like that. A lot of them you know, are very, very distraught. They're stressed out because of the whole, many people moved, for example, without wanting them. Their parents moved somewhere with them, right, from Ukraine, and they didn't want to leave, but their parents made a decision to live to another country. And it's, you know, for them it's a big stress. Some teenagers who are here who are also afraid for like their parents. They have like fathers who are at the front, for example, or they have like you know, all sorts of like anxieties around this whole thing. And you know, they share a bunch of that with my sister, obviously, because she works with them. And she sometimes would tell me like a lot of stories about how they cope with things. And they even have like very cute little chats, that group chats, when they check on each other every time then when strikes happen and things like that. And on one end it's like cute, on the other end you want to kill some Russians at that moment, because you're like 14-year-olds 15-year-olds chatting in a group chat, checking each other if they're alive or not after a strike. Like it's, you know, it's not a reality that you ever hope to have for your like teenagers and younger people in the country.
My daughter said, I'm very uncomfortable to go outside without knife. Yeah, she's 14. 14. She bought knife when she was 13. And when she accidentally leave it at home, she said, I'm not comfortable go outside.
I even had like very weird thing of my own when I was like, I realized that I can't listen to headphones outside anymore without feeling fearful. And it's not that I am delusional that if like a strike will happen, that if I hear it, you know, it's better. But like I want to be like more in control, I guess, in of my surroundings, and hearing helps with that. So like if I hear a strike, for example, close by, I could maybe like hide or some shit, like, you know. And I was feeling it. I love, like, I used to love like running around the city listening to music. That was my jam. I was like always in the headphones jamming to music outside. But now I no longer do that. I mostly listen on my speaker music, and also I like rarely now have like headphones with music on, and I just feel very uncomfortable doing that. So there's a like minor changes sometimes like that you don't even, you know, think too much about. And then you're like, oh man, I'm actually afraid of going around in headphones now. And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Halina, is your battery still okay?
Чуть-чуть. A little bit. Yeah.
Her laptop is.
We don't have also without electricity, like several hours. Everything go down.
Yeah. Because Halina moved to a quieter place. She lived in Odessa, and now she's out in the east, where it's more peaceful.
Very peaceful, I imagine. Yeah. So quiet, no curfew. It's practically like Uzhhorod, you know. So.
Yes. Oh, it's amazing. No alarms, no sirens.
No.
Like I know they exist, but no sirens.
They're somewhere else. That's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah, it's a weird change to make. There's not a lot of people deliberately moving this way unless it's, soldier work, volunteer work a lot of the time. But I don't know. One of the reasons I especially moved out here was just because I don't know. It sounds weird to say that Kyiv, like, I want to say that it felt too safe, but I was too far away from things. I needed to be closer to things to like really do the work I wanted to do, to really like, I don't know. There's enough of things still in Kyiv to where people can push things away and, live their good life. And, they'll be reminded of things now and again, most definitely. But there's enough of it to where there's just that little bit of disconnect that it started to bother me at some point.
Yeah. I mean, I was in when I was in Kyiv for a little while. I also like felt pretty shit about it because I was like, not because it was like bad or anything, but I just wanted to be closer to, everyone I know, really, people who are here, but also to be able to have opportunities to go closer to the front if I need to, because like a bunch of guys I used to go to regularly, I don't anymore, but I used to go regularly to Kupiansk, area, and it's way obviously more easy for me to do that from Kharkiv than it is to do from Kyiv and stuff like that. And I felt that like everything became sort of like online and like disconnected, and I didn't like it because I was like, I'm looking at photos, like videos on like my phone and stuff, but I'm not like really engaging in like actual reality, it felt like. So I was like, I was pretty happy to return, even though when I returned there was a full-on ghost town when it was here, and it was like getting blasted, but I still felt so good when I came back to my apartment, and it was like, it was very. I was way happier here under much heavier shelling than I was anywhere else. So, yeah, maybe I'm also a little bit crazy, so that's also possible.
We like the crazies. So
yeah, about Kharkiv, yeah, this feelings of happiness in Kharkiv. I've been like for 3 times for 2 days every time. And even Vova, our friend, said that if strike is in the night, in the morning you will not see stones on the road. They will be clean. In 2 days it will be flowers in places where they have to grow. And the same I saw in Slavyansk. Slavyansk last time I've been a year ago. It's already was chut hotter and not so relaxed like 2023, and in Drushkivka also. And this resilience, which is growing by government like decision to grow resilience. Yeah, this these strengths which are put in right place to show people that, come on, we have this life, we still have this life, and we will do all possible to keep you to feel you are happy at home, you can be happy at home. For me it was wow, because in Odessa I live between 4 ruins in the middle of the city. It is one of beautiful streets, and 3 of them been fixed more than about a year, but one is still destroyed. So it's like Jana was visiting and was seeing, and like, why so long time? It was bombed 2022, and now it's like 1 year and a half later, still ruins are here, and it's really destroying mind. It's really Yeah.
Kharkiv is
I
very
even
for me
remember when
in this way,
Yeah, yeah.
Kharkiv is like brilliant example of this
Yeah.
resilience.
I actually like showed a bunch of things like Devin when he first arrived. It was already way better than it was in terms of like restoration of the buildings. And then he returned even later again to permanently kind of stay, right? And like most things in Kharkiv are literally fixed. You can't even tell that there was like major bombing and like things like that. Devin could probably speak on that. But the difference, for example, like visited another person who's also a YouTuber, journalist and stuff like that. Dylan Birds. I brought him to North Saltivka when it was absolutely cracked. There was like everything was destroyed there, and then I brought Devin there with me a bit later, I believe. A year, right, has passed or something like that, and it was like
6-ish months, I want to say. Yeah.
Oh, half a year. Yeah,
6,
I don't.
7.
It's all a blur. Okay, you Americans.
Yeah, at that point.
Yeah,
Oh,
all name. Yeah. Anyway, point is that I brought like a bunch of people, and every time I'm like, there's less and less and less to show because like it's getting repaired so like intensely, and so which is good for like people who live here.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's but for showing people stuff, it's a bit like almost like nothing happens sometimes.
Well, it's even like the main building, like the iconic building that had been destroyed, all the way down to those huge amount of floors. Like that's rebuilt now. That was torn down, and there's a new apartment block there now, and it's painted red. It's not the gray kind of depression color that it used to be in that area. And a lot of things are like that, where they're getting even now like rebuilt despite being so close. When Corrie and I were there back in March. We were talking to this woman, no utilities in her home whatsoever. That's in the documentary a little bit. It was like Corrie and I like discussing it pretty much at the beginning, I think, near the beginning. And, we went from that and we turned around, and in these like surrounded by homes that were still destroyed and boarded up, there was like a group of 7-8 people in orange vests, like sweeping the leaves into bags and like getting the area looking presentable on the road and in the garden bays and everything. So it's,
the flowers.
It's a vibe of the city.
The flowers is a big meme, actually. I think Lina brought it up, I think, right? That was the flowers is like, we also laughed at that because we like had, I think one of the biggest challenges we experienced, which was about like 50 hits, like actual hits in the city. And we were like, even for us, it was a bit much. So everyone was like slightly, after night and morning like that, everyone was a little bit. And we go like very early, like 4 or 5. I think it was like around 5 in the morning. The community workers were like planting flowers and doing the whole decorations in the city. And we're like, you people are crazy, but like in a good way. Like everyone was like so excited. And it may seem stupid after like 50 strikes and all the city is like torn apart and exploded, and they're doing this. But you go outside, you see this, and you smile. And that's kind of why it's so needed, because you're like, life goes on at the end of the day, and we survived that. Maybe we won't next time, but right now it's not that bad. And it elevates people. It makes their lives seem more normal. And that's important, I think, psychologically for people to experience. As silly as it may sound, to decorate a city that is under bombings every day, it's not that silly, actually.
Yeah. Halina, psychology thoughts.
Just from my experience, sorry, I'm psychology on consultations. I like to clean after shelling strikes. So all windows in our street and our house were laid down like 3 or 4 times already, and it's like very special time when me and neighbors we are going like zamitati. Clean street, clean our
the streets, yes.
Because it's like all this energy until morning, it doesn't stop. And next day.
Oh, lagging.
Oops.
It's either the lagging
Probably
or the
her
battery.
battery.
Yeah, so.
Just when the story was getting
Yeah.
was getting there. No.
Anticipation ever higher.
Yeah, that's so annoying when that happens. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sometimes people complain about like why the money is wasted, like on decorations and stuff like that. But I think like people underestimate the impact that it has like on people. I remember in Kharkiv we have like this big street, is the main street, Sumska, in the city center. It's kind of like the old part of the old center, and there was this very fancy thing called like a bunch of lights, all like that are like it's like all road is like there's installed like a bunch of lights over there, and it's quite expensive. And obviously when we had the economy regime of like conserving light and not using any electricity, it wasn't available to anyone. And then I don't remember, I think in 24 or something, people like pushed the button on it, and they're like the whole street lit up after like months and months of like absolute darkness. Hey, hi. Oh, no, not hi.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh,
that
hi
wasn't
again.
me. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Phone still alive.
Hey, there we go.
Your story was interrupted. Sad news. we didn't hear you finish your story.
No, it's like just a habit that to put energy in right place better than to try to like depress it in myself after strikes. So if it's clean, like if streets are clean, then I clean my house internal. So usually to do something physical, it helps me, or to buy new dress, because who knows, maybe day after tomorrow I will buy. So today we can be in beautiful dress. Yeah. So
Incredibly valid.
to take
Solid
something,
logic, absolutely.
yeah, which will show me that I'm alive and my energy have to go somewhere, because I cannot shoot, because my husband doesn't allow me to go to the zoo, and we have a daughter and someone who take care about daughter. So I need to choose something another. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to.
I'm sorry.
You deserve it.
Because it. Yeah, sorry, Devin. Yeah.
No, that was it. That was all I said. You're good.
I was just like I was giggling because I remembered like my sister basically called me out at some point. I actually basically I bought unreasonably expensive dress, like genuinely like way too expensive to have a dress, and I got it. It made me so cheerful that I got another one from the same brand, and it was also expensive. And she like came to me and she's like, "Where are you going to wear it? It's like too fancy. Like, what do you mean? Like, why are you spending money on this?" And I'm like, I am stressed. It's war. I used it like this is such an excuse. I'm aware of this like manipulation tactic that I employed, but it also genuinely made me happy. Like I started wearing it like on a random trips to the shop, and it's like, yeah, it's a bit too fancy for that, but it's like also it just makes me feel good. I don't care, okay?
Yeah.
And it's just it's my mom has the cleaning urge, by the way. She has every time there's like strikes and something. We had like very hilarious. There was no electricity for a very long time, a couple of days. And as soon as electricity is back, she grabs like the vacuum cleaner and starts going like all over the house. And like immediately, like just as soon as electricity is back, she's already vacuuming everything. And I'm like, oh, that's the cleaning urge. The cleaning urge is there.
Yes.
Halina,
I
when
have
Halina gets
kept the
agitated,
vacuum and I just live with it. I like this is 5 times a day now.
Perfect.
Also, Halina, your husband said, yeah, now that you've moved to the east, you don't have an air alert anymore. So now his wallet problems are solved because you no longer need to go buy stuff.
No shopping sprees.
No. Today my husband gifted me a chainsaw, electricity chainsaw for because I need to deal with stove and woods. I like to put my energy in normal stuff. And I said, I see. It seems like I have some like addiction to technique, which is brutal. Because yesterday I was chopping woods because without no reason. My husband can't do this, but I needed. So
you needed just to get that anger, just like
yes.
The best was she showed it to me earlier today. She showed it to me. She's like, "Oh, look what I got," and I'm like, "Okay, what's this for?" And she holds it up and she's like, "It's for my manicure." She's like, "No, it's actually for the
Yeah,
stove."
we figured. Yeah. I mean, I think it's like some people. I had this like feeling that in 22, I believe, when I was very sort of like I felt guilty for indulging in things that weren't essentials. that weren't like a toothpaste, I don't know, like food or something like that. So I felt like this very guilty, especially when I, for a short while, I left Kharkiv and then returned. But at the point I was in Poltava for a little while, and I remember like just this was very stupid moment in my life when I was standing near this. There was scarcity, very bad scarcity of food in Kharkiv. So for like 2 weeks, we basically had no access to like any food or anything like that. So I knew people were having troubles at the time with that as well in the city. And I was in Poltava, and there was like this very cute konditorska, like it's like a cakes and stuff like that, a bakery basically. And I was standing near it, and I was passing by it, and I know that I want to buy some cute cakes and eat them. I love sweet stuff, but I couldn't do it. So I was feeling guilty about like wasting money on anything that isn't essential, instead of like throwing them on some fundraiser or something like that. Yes, and then at some point, a friend convinced me to go buy the cakes, and I bought like three for me, my mother, and my sister, and I brought it home, and everyone was like so happy about it, and we had like a very chill time with like tea and cakes and stuff like that. And I remember thinking that probably that's not like healthy, so I shouldn't be like guilty about just literally anything that isn't war related, right? Because it's not sustainable. I won't be able to continue being useful to other people and live my life normally if I don't at least give myself some indulgence. So yeah, that's kind of like and I actually cried near that shop as well, which was so stupid now that I think about it. Yeah, I was actually crying near those cakes. and the woman that was working in that in the cellar there, she was like, "Are you all right? Like, is everything fine?" And I'm like, I just want to buy those cakes, but I feel guilty. And she was like, "Where are you from?" And like, "We're from Kharkiv, we escaped and stuff." And she was like, "Buy all the cakes, like I will give you like a discount." And it was very lovely, but yeah, it was quite quite a struggle for a little while to accept that you actually have some right to joy despite everything. And even if other people have it like worse than you now, it's fine. You still can hype yourself up as much as you can. Don't cry near the cakes.
Yeah,
buy them. Buy them.
That's the throw pillow quote. There you go. So
we've got some really good quotes from this stream. I still I live in fear of a hidden ground.
That's gonna follow me forever. That's gonna follow me forever. Yeah.
Just make it like your Twitter header.
Oh yeah, 100%. So make a nice little graphic to go right on top. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
The funniest thing though is that he was like justified in his fear, because a couple of like time has passed, and I actually rewatched the movie again, and I found some hidden bloods that he didn't delete. And I also messaged him, and I was like,
"You missed, Bogdan missed, like, yeah."
And I was like, "You actually vindicated. Your fear was legitimate because you actually missed some hidden ones there." Yeah.
But it was because I was watching it, and Halina and I, we work with the soldiers, so we hear the very creative, colorful language. And I was watching this, and I was like, it's so clean.
Yeah.
Because we snip them.
Really, there was only really like one part where it was like field work where they were cut, and then like at the the ending part with Turgut stuff. But yeah, it's like compared to soldiers and what you hear, you're just gonna like, oh god, like.
It's just that with soldiers, they don't really demand you to delete stuff like that typically. But with like the SNS, because it's a governmental structure, they kind of like want you to be.
And I do want to be clear about it. We weren't demanded to have it be removed. It was a request by Bogdan.
More like us.
They asked on there because they knew like, hey, we might get in trouble for that, and specifically we wanted to be like, hey, absolutely no issue. Like we don't want to cause problems for someone. So
yeah, with like, because we didn't want them to participate in our project and then get like their slapped by by the high ups for like swearing.
We don't want these like incredible people to like, I don't know, get in trouble from some old stuck up person somewhere. Like these guys are doing actual great work. Who cares if they're gonna cuss? But I'm not gonna get them in trouble for that. Like
yeah.
a bridge too far. So
Turgut actually got in
Okay.
trouble with his wife a little bit because Allah will be mad.
we saved him twice. Okay, so
yeah, we saved him twice. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Then gonna kind of try and close things up. We did have one other person in our thumbnail, but he is not able to be here because of power outages in where he stays.
Oh yeah, it's in Kyiv. So Corrie lives in Kyiv. Okay. He's a Kyiv guy. Yeah, so he obviously due to Russians, no power, no heating. Signal is really bad. I will still dock his pay for this, but so no.
No.
And the thing that is, because last night, obviously I knew we were going to have the stream, but I also saw, like yesterday and the day before, these statements being made by Zelensky saying like, hey guys, they've been saving up. There's going to be a big attack coming. So then obviously I was like, okay, cool. Last night, and I had some difficulty sleeping, and I kept refreshing Twitter, and I was like, okay, just in time for the stream. And then this morning I saw there was another double tap, and an ambulance driver was killed. And it is something that you guys also mention in your documentary, the double taps and the lives that are lost. And it's, so kind of, no matter where, like someone would be like, no, just go to Ukraine, but go someplace safe. And I'm like, yeah, but it's all dangerous. It's just different levels of danger, kind of thing, right? And I think I kind of just want to remind people that, you know what, there's a lot of chaos going on in the world, but stay focused, and don't get distracted by the noise, and do what you can to make a difference. Yeah.
Very well said.
Thanks, I totally winged it.
And good advice, unlike don't ignore the shelters. That was good advice.
That was never advice that we gave. We never gave that advice. We
never gave that advice. No, it wasn't advice. Yeah, just share the feelings, okay?
So I want to thank both of you for being on the stream, and anyone who is, well, to the 29 people who are still watching, please go watch Airstrike. If you're watching this stream later on, please go watch it. If you've already watched it, go watch it again.
Your grandmother might like it. Send it to her, so.
Share it and get the news out, because it's important for people to see that work but that you guys worked on and everything. Yeah. So thank you for being here. Halinoch.
Great to be here. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you very much. Yeah, had a good time. And if the lady you mentioned, like if I didn't speak with her, then I will. And very lovely time. Thank you for inviting us and watching our movie. Weird to say, but we have a movie actually. Amazing.
We'll have many more. So
and we will have more. Yes, I will now go harass people to watch it. Basically, that's my plan. Do it. Bullying everyone
in the trenches of Twitter. Truly a hellish battleground.
I will actually go on Twitter right now and post it. Yes, that's exactly my plan. Yeah. And good night, day, whatever it is. And bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye.